let's start by looking at a brief history behind the discovery of the basal ganglia. An important figure in the history of the basal ganglia is a 19th century German neuroanatomist by the name of Carl Friedrich von Berdock. His masterpiece, Vom Bau und Leben des Gehirns, or Of Structure and Life of the Brain, is a 3-volume treatise on the history and anatomy of the brain. This book contains a detailed account on the discoveries that led to our current anatomical understanding of the basal ganglia. Of Structure and Life of the Brain also lists Thomas Willis, a 17th century English doctor, as one of the first people to make detailed illustrations of the basal ganglia. This account recognized a large group of subcortical elements and referred to them collectively as the corpus striatum. Our modern terminology for the basal ganglia is attributed to the 17th and 18th century French anatomist Raymond Vuissens. He was the first to refer to the corpus striatum as the great cerebral ganglion. From the term ganglion, we get basal ganglia, which means a mass of nerve tissue made up of cell bodies and neurons.
Basal ganglia is a collection of nuclei found on both sides of the thalamus, outside and above the limbic system, but below the cingulate gyrus and within the temporal lobes. The largest group of these nuclei are called the corpus striatum, or striped body, made up of the caudate nucleus or tail, the putamen or shell, the globus pallidus or pale globe, and the nucleus accumbens. All these structures are double ones, one set on each side of the central septum. The caudate begins just behind the frontal lobe and curves back towards the occipital lobe. It sends its messages to the frontal lobe, especially the orbital cortex just above the eyes, and appears to be responsible for informing us that something is not right and that we should do something about it. The putamen lies just under and behind the front of the caudate. It appears to be involved in coordinating automatic behavior such as riding a bike, driving a car, or working on an assembly line. The nucleus accumbens is a nucleus just below the previous nuclei. It receives signals from the prefrontal cortex via the ventral tegmental area and sends other signals back there via the globus pallidus. The inputs use dopamine, and many drugs are known to greatly increase these messages to the nucleus accumbens. Another nucleus of the basal ganglia is a substantia nigra, or black substance. Located in the upper portion of the midbrain below the thalamus, it gets its color from neuromelanin, a close relative to skin pigment. One part, the part compacta, uses dopamine neurons to send signals up to the striatum. The exact function isn't known, but is believed to involve reward circuits. The globus pallidus is located just inside the putamen with an outer part and inner part. It receives inputs from the caudate and putamen and provides outputs to substantia nigra.
Parkinson's disease is characterized by tremors, rigid muscles, and difficulty making quick, smooth movements, and difficulty standing and walking. Many people also develop depression and anxiety, and, later in life, problems with memory loss and dementia. Parkinson's originates in the death of cells in the substantia nigra and the loss of dopamine and melanin produced by those cells. Possible causes or contributing factors include environmental toxins, head trauma, and genetics. Huntington's disease is a hereditary neurodegenerative disorder involving cell death in the caudate nucleus. This results in uncontrolled movements, loss of intellectual abilities, and emotional disturbances. Symptoms usually present themselves in a patient's early 30s, but may start at an earlier age, which is then known as juvenile Huntington's disease. Juvenile Huntington's disease is usually characterized by seizures and rigidity, while adult Huntington's is more often characterized by chorea or uncontrolled movement.